See if we can get going again. It says it's going. All right. No idea what happened. It says it's starting on there. So, okay. Let's go. You were saying? Technology. No idea. You can blame it on Frontier. Yeah. You guys down in the chat. I don't know. The chat kept going. It was the stream. The stream just like died. I saw all of your guys' chat. Don't know why it just died. So, all right. So, Granny Vape says, I love the dachshund in the pic.
Oh. Back behind me?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my dog Sprite that passed. He's one of the dogs in Pets in the Afterlife and Pets in the Afterlife 2. He sends me a lot of signs like butterflies.
Oh.
Nice,
yeah,
nice.
That's his sign. So
we could talk a little bit about that. You know, kind of maybe it just crashing like that on us was like, okay, we're done with England. Let's move on to the next subject.
Well, okay. That works for me.
All right.
So I know that probably 65% of all Americans have had or do have a pet. So pets are very, very near and dear to our hearts. And, I'm a dog dad. We have 4 dogs. Actually, we had 3 dogs up until like a month ago. We were fostering a dog, and then we wind up adopting him. So now we have 4. That's the limit. So we've lost 2, and the 2 of them really showed me many, many ways that pets communicate from the other side. So I wrote the books in order for people to understand the ways to look for signs from their pets. So that way they don't have to go to a medium. All they have to do is basically learn what to look for. And I get emails from people actually around the world who have read the books and asked me to communicate with their pets. So I continue to give them short, I respond and I give them short signs, and then they give me confirmations. So I'm writing Pets in the Afterlife 3. And this coming book is actually going to include something that I don't have in the other 2, and that is actually how to cope with grief. So I'm working with a friend of mine who is a psychologist.
That was my dog.
Well, speaking of.
I think that means it's a good idea to talk about how to cope with grief.
Get up here.
So, he's adorable. Is it a he?
She's not very attractive.
Oh, I think she's adorable. She's a little chihuahua.
Yeah.
Right?
Cha-cha.
Yeah. So our latest, she's adorable. So our latest adoption is a Chihuahua Dachshund mix.
Oh, a Chiweenie.
A Chiweenie, yeah.
Chiweenie. She's a deer head. She's not very common on this side. They're more common in Mexico. Most people have apple heads, and she's my little miniature deer.
I didn't. I've never heard about the deer and apple heads thing.
The apple heads are the little barrel-bodied stick legs that shake all the time with the big bulgy eyes.
Oh,
and
okay.
She looks like a miniature deer.
Oh.
Yeah.
She's adorable. And she's in a good place.
Yeah.
So in short, for people who have not heard me talk about the pets in the afterlife before, so pets can communicate much the same way that humans do. If you think about it, pets learn our language. They learn many words that we teach them. They are familiar with environment. They always wag and stand at attention when you're driving close to your house, when you're on approach to your house. They know time and schedule. If you feed them late, they let you know. If you break their routine, they let you know. If you don't walk them, they let you know. They like to play with certain toys, or they have favorites, or they play with each other. Or there's dogs they hate, or cats they hate. So all of these things are the same emotions that humans feel. And as a result of that, they learn on many different levels, and just like humans do, so they have the capability to communicate with us on many different levels. So common things that that pets do are they make noises, like people have heard nails on the floor, or meows or barks from a different room. The cats are usually very stealthy. They'll jump on the bed and they'll cuddle up to you. You'll feel like a light pressure on you. They can move things. They can lead you to another pet that looks like them. You may wind up encountering somebody that has the same name as your pet when you're thinking of your pet, and that's not a coincidence, because there's no such thing as a coincidence. Your pet is leading you to them. So those are just a few of the ways. As I mentioned before, Sprite, my dachshund that passed, sent a yellow and black butterfly after he passed. And what's fascinating about that is that I rarely see butterflies. I live in Maryland. I rarely see butterflies. And last year, on July 13th, I was driving to work, and a yellow and black butterfly flew right in front of my windshield. And I heard Sprite say, "Dad, I'm still here." And I thought, what? Sprite, why are you contacting me today? And then I realized, oh my gosh, it's the anniversary of his passing.
Ah, okay.
So birthdays, anniversaries, and holidays are key times that we can hear from spirit. That is pet spirits and people. So,
right.
So those are just some examples.
We have a few questions in the chat, including this one from Sean Gilmore. Sean Gilmore is saying, "Shana, I won." Yes, Sean Gilmore, you have won. What are you going to do next?
Come on down.
Yeah, come on down. Yeah, you weren't here earlier, but you won the giveaway, the hat drawing. So you get a book from Haunted Road Media and a signed print. But also, Betty Lange asks, "What do you do to help a pet going through grief?"
That's a great question, Betty. Pets experience grief the same exact way that we humans experience grief. So know that when you are suffering over the loss of a pet, they are also suffering over the loss of their companion. So what you should do is make sure that you give them extra attention. Sometimes we don't think about how it affects pets before we make the decision to allow a pet to cross, but you should always let the companion pet spend a little close time with the pet that is going to pass, just so they know, because they communicate with each other. They give off different scents and so forth, so that the living pet, or the one that's going to survive, will understand that the other one is very, very ill, and that helps the surviving pet cope better with the passing of the other one. So another way is to bring in another pet, another companion pet. My friend Cindy had adopted a bonded pair of dachshunds about 3 years ago through the rescue that I volunteer with. And one of them just passed suddenly this summer. And she said that she'd noticed how depressed her other dachshund is, her surviving dachshund. And she said, "Rob, do you think it would be okay if I adopt another dog as a companion?" And I said, "That's a really wonderful idea." As it turned out, she did. And the other dog seemed to start eating again and being more active again. And that really, really helped. We all suffer the physical loss, and it's the only way that pets can actually understand the passing is, number one, to have them spend time with the pet that's fading. Number two, know that your pet, your living pet, will see the pet who passed in spirit. Oh. Because animals have the ability to see and hear spirits and ghosts. Here's the thing about that, though. Sometimes they stare. And the reason they stare is because it takes a lot of energy for a spirit to manifest. So dogs are very smell-oriented. and a spirit can't manifest itself visibly as well as the scent. Its scent. So think about this. If a dog sees somebody and knows that person or that animal, but there's no scent, it's going to confuse them.
Right.
So
is that what they're picking up on? Because you hear stories about like a dog staring up at a spot on the wall, and they like roll a ball up to that wall, like expecting something over there to play with. Is that what they're picking up on? Is a scent?
They're actually picking. Well, usually they're picking up just the visible image of the spirit.
Okay. Because
they can see it. It's usually the scent that's missing. So it's confusing.
Interesting.
So so it's like someone who wears a lot of. It's like a guy that wears a lot of cologne, and then he dies, and then you see him and you don't know he's dead, but you don't smell his cologne. You're like, that's weird. Why isn't he wearing his cologne today?
Right.
And he's actually dead. So you may not have liked that cologne, so you're probably happy.
B3 Airspace is saying, my cat is staring at Rob. So her cat is tuning into you.
Hey, cat.
And Sean Olds.
That's my cast, by the way.
Yeah, how's that going with your hand?
Oh, I had thumb surgery. By the way, when you're over 50 and you start working out with weights, I've been working out with weights since I was a teenager, but don't lift weights too heavy, because they dislocated my thumb. And I had to get screws put in my thumb.
Ouch.
Oh,
ouch.
Wow.
I know. They put the screws to me.
Yeah, they did.
But I'm bummed.
So Sean Oldsmith just straight up asking, would your pet come in the afterlife? So I guess would your pet visit you in the afterlife? And it sounds like a pretty resounding yes.
You mean when we're dead? Our pets cross over all the time, and they usually wait for us to cross over. They're always going to be there in the light. When Sprite passed, I actually saw Buzz visibly in the vet's office, and he was waiting for Sprite to pass.
Wow.
When my dad passed, my dog Buzz, who was in spirit, and my two family dogs, were all visibly in the light that I saw on a hill at the cemetery. It freaked me out. It wasn't just them, though. It was the other, the human relatives were there too. But our dogs and cats are going to be there on the other side waiting for us. Sure.
Oh, interesting that you had the human relatives there as well.
Yeah, well, they put up with them.
Yeah. It sounds like a nice little reunion.
Actually, I wrote about that in my first book, Ghosts and Spirits, about how my dad communicated with me after he passed. And at the cemetery, I visibly saw him walk into the light, and they were all there. I saw my grandmother, his mother and father, his father that I never met, and his grandmother was holding an infant. And I found out a couple of years before my dad passed that he had his mother gave birth to a baby who died at a very young age. So that was kind of freaky. But yeah, they're all in the light. They're all waiting for us. But they come back from time to time when we need comfort. So just watch for them.
So let me ask you this: you have Pets in the Afterlife 1. Number 2, and now you're writing number 3. So what's the difference between all three of these volumes?
Volume 1 delves more into the way in which pets can communicate. By that I mean the learning side. So I explain all the different levels that they learn, and then I go into depth about scientific studies about how MRIs were used to confirm and prove that animals have the same exact emotions that people have. So, and book 1 also has 3 chapters by 3 different mediums who had communicated with their pets after they passed. as well as experiences I've had and my dogs, Buzz and Sprite. Book 2 is in like 3 different sections. So I explain the basics and all the different ways that I know of that pets can communicate. Then I give you a whole bunch of chapters of the readings that I did with all the confirmations. And then another section is people who wrote me and gave me their experiences of signs that they encountered. So book 3 is going to actually focus on how to cope with grief, how I coped with the grief of my loss of my 2 dogs in 2 different ways. One was actually killed by a car as a puppy, and the other one passed as a senior citizen at 16 and a half. And that's really a different. It's the way that they're lost is it makes you grieve in a different way.
Yeah.
Because one is much more traumatic than the other one. So I'll go into depth about that.
I imagine, the sudden loss, getting hit by a car is very traumatic. I guess I kind of imagine with the ones that have been around a long time, almost like, like a grandparents lived into their 90s. It's like it's sad, but you also know that they lived a nice long life.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So you're prepared. As somebody gets much older, you're prepared for them to cross. But we're never prepared to lose a baby.
Right.
Human or animal, doesn't matter.
Yeah. We have a couple other questions. It's from Bree Jones. Is it true that animals greet us and expect us to answer to all we have done to them, especially those who have harmed them?
The animals are very forgiving. Usually for people who harm animals, there's something not right with them. There's some mental illness there. You read about some of these serial killers that first start their killings by killing animals.
Yeah.
But anybody that attacks or hurts an animal has some kind of mental illness. And our pets are very forgiving, but it doesn't mean that you should do it. They're living things with souls and spirits. And what you do comes back to you. Karma is very real. So if you hurt anyone, any animal, you're going to be on the receiving end of something not good later on in your life. And for those people who who don't know how to train an animal, don't adopt one. If you're not going to put the time into it, don't do that. Don't take an animal in. It's a disservice to the animal. They're just like children, human children. They need schooling. They need discipline. They need patience. You need to take them to the doctor. You need to take care of them. They rely on you 100%, and they give you nothing but love. At least with pets, they don't talk back. Human kids will grow up and talk back.
This is true.
Yeah.
From Betty Lange, what happens to police dogs trained to search out a deceased person? Any effects?
You mean, do they? I'm not sure what the question is. Any effects?
Is there a psychological effect on cadaver dogs?
Oh, psychological effects.
Yeah.
No, it's actually because they look at it like a job because they've been trained to do that. It's just like being a police officer. When you come across a corpse, as much as it's unsettling, we're trained to deal with it. So they just look at it as part of their job, and it doesn't stay with them. But what's interesting about that is that when they do come across a corpse, they may actually not be staring at the corpse the entire time. They may be looking at the energy from the corpse, the entity that has left the body. So I'd be curious to go along on police dogs and see if that happens.
That's interesting.
If they find themselves staring.
Like if the spirit is still steady there near the body.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That would be interesting. From Bethany Warner, any suggestions on what to do for a pet that is terrified of storms?
Oh gosh, I have two. We give them Benadryl. Um, Benadryl just makes them drowsy, and you usually have to give it to them a half an hour before the storms approach. The other thing too is that you can play soft instrumental music, kind of to tune that out. And you really have to. Hopefully, you stay home with the dog, or you have somebody come over and stay with the dog, because they don't know what's going on outside, and just have them close to you. We have a neighbor who has a dog that's terrified of thunderstorms, and fortunately, I telework. So whenever there's thunderstorms during the day, I go over and get the dog, and the dog lays down next to me the entire day when I'm teleworking, and he's comfortable. He's okay. It's when dogs are alone that they panic a lot.
Okay.
Just like with fireworks. Stay with them.
All right. Very good. And Tammy Heisman was wondering when your new book comes out, The Pets in the Afterlife 3.
Oh, gosh. Probably later in 2019, I think.
Okay.
Probably at the end of 2019. I'm still promoting my Ghosts of England book.
Nice. So,
hey, by the way, if anybody listening lives in the Western U.S., I'm actually going to be speaking at the Utah Paranormal Festival on October 6th in Salt Lake City.
nice.
About
nice.
pets in the afterlife.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
I've
I
been
wish
there.
I could go to that.
Yeah, it's been a good how long? 12 years, I guess, since I've been out. Was it Salt Lake City?
Yes.
Okay. Are you staying at the Peary Hotel? Or do you not know yet?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm actually going to Massachusetts next weekend, or 2 weekends from now, to do a benefit for dog rescue, and then to New Hampshire to do benefits for 2 dog rescues up there. All that before Utah. So
Okay. All right. Well, if you do, Perry Hotel, downtown Salt Lake City, very, very haunted. Had some experiences there. So back in 2006. Yeah.
I'll have to go into it then.
Yeah. Speaking of hotels, though, I know we want to talk a little bit about Mineral Springs real quick, since you were there with us for the Haunted Road Media Paracon, which is
Yes.
big hint. Shana, come on over. So she's going to have to come in from the house to the outbuilding, but yeah. So you were there with us, and I know we only have a few minutes left in the show because we had the big interruption and all that. But you were there with us for the Haunted Road Media Paracon and had some interesting experiences there at the Mineral Springs Hotel, which is where we held the Paracon. Extremely, extremely haunted location. But just some of the things that you were picking up on, very, very similar to Shana, and you guys are actually collaborating for a story here in the next Encounters with the Paranormal.
Yes. What was fascinating is that was the first time that Shana and I had met.
Right.
In person. We've known each other, I guess, for a couple of years, through you and online.
Yeah, on social media.
But we instantly connected, and as we walked through the hotel, we both got similar sensations in a number of different areas. So I'm going to turn it over to Shana.
All right. I'm not going to hear you at all, so let me turn you up.
Oh, that would be good.
And let me move these guys over. There you go.
Hi.
There she is. Hey.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I miss you.
I miss you too. You have great energy.
So do
Hold on
you.
for a second. It's going to fall. Hang on to that.
Hold on. Got some stuff going on. Okay.
So the I was mentioning that we had a lot of the same experiences when we were in Old Mineral Springs Hotel, and Sometimes they do get the same sensations that other mediums get, but you and I were we were really connected. Everything just lined up.
Yeah, it was a pretty interesting experience, because every once in a while, you can tell when people with like-minded abilities or energy will, sense things at the same time, but it was actually feeling like the same symptoms at the same time without being warned ahead of time. So it was pretty cool.
So one of the things that has always stayed with me was when we went into the basement spring. So for those who don't know, the old Mineral Springs Hotel had a natural spring in the basement, which was in that was in the slaughterhouse area. Is that right?
Right.
So there was a slaughterhouse in the basement. And you told me that homeless people actually lived in the basement for a while after the hotel was closed.
Yeah, that's what the owners of Zen had said, that there were actual, homeless people. There were some drug addicts down there, prostitutes, just all kinds of things happening down there. And several at a time would be in there, and I'm guessing there was probably a lot of death, a lot of sad, negative energy as well too.
So I know that you and I both felt like that the energy was like swirling around us in there.
Yeah.
Which was kind of a crazy feeling for me, because I've never actually been. It felt like I was actually in the eye of a hurricane, to be honest with you. Throw a little meteorology in there.
Yeah.
And what was really weird is that the intense feelings of sadness that I experienced as soon as I walked in there, and you mentioned that it was probably because of the homeless occupants that I was feeling that.
Yeah, it surprises me because, usually I feel really calm down there. Not that I would be alone down there, but still pretty calm. Had never really felt all that sad, but, there's the swirling feeling. It's like the energy is just, rushing around you sometimes, and sometimes it feels like it, gets close. Sometimes you can just feel the energy moving along the walls. And I've always wondered, what exactly, that is, because it seems to take up a lot of space, and it just happens. It's just there, just all the time. So
one of the other places that we went that was kind of freaky was the main pool.
Yeah.
You said you had a lot of experiences down there, and I actually remember you seeing a video of you going into the pool, the bottom of that pool.
Right. Yeah. And I've always really felt anxious going in there, and I can't swim, so I always wondered if it was because of what had happened in the pool, or if it's because it's my own fears of not being able to swim. And because I always have trouble breathing down in there, and then I have to really focus and concentrate on realizing what my actual surroundings are, that I'm actually not in a pool filled with water, and that I can control how it's making me feel. So that's a work in progress. But I have had a few experiences down there inside the pool. So, and along the outside edges, there's several different kinds of energy in there.
Yeah, we have excuse me. We have a question from Bree Jones here. Could what Shauna's talking about be a PK phenomenon caused by the intense energy from all the homelessness, etc.? What do you think?
Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, it's really hard to know, I think.
Yeah, she just said, just thought if it's always there and seems to swirl.
Yeah, it's just what it feels like, you know. And then right outside there, you know, there's a little bit of what we showed with like the upward with the dust, the kind of like a vortex action, and didn't know if maybe, you know, that was if it kind of moves around a little bit. But yeah, but given the amount of energy that there has to be, you know, down in there, I wouldn't contribute to that. You know, there's Native American energy down there, and it's just right there in the earth, you know, deep down. So it's at the very bottom level, you know, and unless you've been there or you know the area, you know, when you're looking at the outside of the building, you don't realize just how deep it goes. So, you know, once you get down there, it's just like a whole other kind of energy, whole other world.
I was totally amazed at the number of basements that the hotel had. I was like, wait, I thought we were in the basement. No, we're going down further.
Yeah, and Betty Langey's trying to confirm here. She says, and she was there as well for the Paracon. She says, so the dizziness I experienced in the basement was what others felt?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of energy there. So it does happen a lot in the form of vertigo for quite a few people.
Yes, and one of the other similar experiences we had was near the pool when we both, I felt that gurgling in my throat, and then we both felt our throats get tight and dry at the same time and become irritated. And I thought that that may have been Clarence, the gentleman who supposedly drowned there in the pool, the young man. Sharing his symptoms. Right.
That, you know, we know that he drowned there. That's a documented event. So his death certificate is upstairs in the lobby in a glass case at Mineral Springs. So, you know, we know that happened. And like with me, a lot of times, you know, being an empath, I don't always feel emotions unless they're really strong. More of what I feel is symptoms of things, you know. So, you know, I've always wondered, am I, you know, is that normal? Shouldn't I be feeling more emotions all the time, or is there another term for it? You know, feeling almost all symptoms all the time, or I don't know.
It's your normal.
It's my normal.
It's your normal. I don't think that there is a textbook for how it's supposed to be. It's each individual has their own specific things that they can focus in on, whether it's consciously or subconsciously. So I would say it's completely normal for you.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Well, one of the I know we're probably out of time, Mike, but
yeah, we're past the time. We need to get on to the next show. But go ahead and wrap up with your thought, and then we'll wrap up the show.
Well, one of the things that I was really happy to be on this investigation with you guys for is to help unravel the mystery of Helga's past in that hallway. And some of the things that I got were just pretty amazing that didn't make much sense to me, but it all seemed to come together. So everybody will have to get your book and read about it.
Yes.
How's that for a plug at the end?
Perfect.
Oh, you got to do that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, great. Let me go ahead and grab those back from you, and
bye,
wrap
Rob.
up the show. I'm gonna have to fix that.
Bye.
Bye, Shana.
The next show.
Great to see you.
You too.
All right. Now move that over. Not meaning to block you out, my love.
You're fine.
All right. So we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Rob, where can everybody find you?
Hiding under my desk tomorrow, reporting on hurricanes.
Right.
No, seriously. They can find me on Amazon.com. Just put in Gutro, and all of my books pop up, and all of your Encounters of the Paranormal books pop up too. So I've written 5, and I've been honored to contribute to your collection, and I thank you for that. And people can also find me on Facebook and Twitter and so forth. Just type in robgutro.com, ROBGUTRO.com, or petspirits.com, and you'll get my page.
Yeah, and on Twitter, you're Ghost Medium Book.
Yes.
So, yeah. We have a $10 super chat from Andrew Cox. He says, welcome back to the show, Rob. Mike, Rob needs to come back to Mineral Springs. Yeah, well, we'll definitely have him out again next year if you're willing to come, Rob.
All right. I will put it on my calendar. Thank you.
Yeah. Betty Lange wanted to know that she loved your talk.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, next time I'll probably be talking about the Ghosts of England.
Ah, fantastic. Okay. Yeah, a couple shout outs here. Fran Molino says, big shout out to Vanessa and her journeys, blessing and much success.
Thank you.
And Candy Orton noticed that we have the Haunted Road Roast sitting over here. So, yes, this episode, Edge of the Rabbit Hole, is brought to you by Haunted Road Roast, just from Haunted Road Media, hauntedroadmedia.com. And I'm dropping this stuff. All right.
That's good.
All right, let's do some quick shout outs. And we're going to do them quick because we got to get to the next show since we ran a little bit over here. So, Donna Gordon, thank you for hanging out down there. Our Cheshire Cat, of course, our chat shenanigator is over here. She was shenanigating in the chat most of the evening until coming over here and joining us on the show. See, there's Tim Schoen down in the house. Oh, Super Chat Superstars. We have Robert White and Andrew Cox. Thank you both very much. So let's see. B3 Airspace, one of our Deep Down the Rabbit Hole Patreon patrons, which include Tom McNicholas, B3 Airspace, Zippy Davis, BD Flint, Pamela Queen, and Andrew Cox. You are Deep Down the Rabbit Hole Patreon patrons. Fran Molino, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Bree Jones, thanks once again. Katie Orton, thank you for all the shares and everything that you do down there. Bree Jones, thanks for joining us again. Phoenix Feather, thank you as well. Chipper Terry, thank you very much. Sean Oldsmith and Robert White, thank you both for joining us from Australia this evening. Granny Vapes, thanks for joining us. Pungai Fungi, thank you for joining. Enough with the penguin stuff. Come on. Need to thank Sean Gilmore as well. He's the winner of tonight's drawing. And there's Joe Chandler. Thank you very much. Michelle Timmons, thanks for joining us tonight. Katie Palmer, thank you once again. Mickey Dole, thank you once again as well. And there's Andrew Cox. Thanks, Andrew. Kathy Ciliento, thanks for joining us again this evening. Who else do we have? Like I said, I'm going through these quick, so we can switch over. There's Tammy Heitzman. Tammy, thank you as always. Sharon Lane, thanks for joining us again tonight. Betty Lange, thank you for all of your questions. Really do appreciate it. Haunted Explorers, thanks for joining us tonight. And who else? Trisha Egley. She says liked and shared. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. All the likes and shares do really help out. Spooky Dawn, really thank you for joining us again tonight. And who else? If I missed you, I do apologize. Try to get to as many as we can, and we are trying to get through these quick so we can switch it out. So, all right, I'm going to scroll back down to the bottom here. And there's Jen. Thanks for joining us once again. Really do appreciate that. And I think that's going to be it for the shout-outs. Of course, we'll do more shout-outs after Inside the Upside Down, which is coming up next. We're going to be talking about demons in Hollywood. So all those different demon depictions that are in Hollywood movies. And James Anito is going to be joining us for a short period of time during that. He's going to call in. And, of course, we had him on last year, demonologist out there back east. Just recently became a deacon here. So it'll be good to have him on to weigh in on all of that. So, Rob, thank you very much for joining us tonight, my friend. And I think Shauna's trying to say goodbye out here. Yeah, we could do that. It kind of fits, right? We're kind of each off on the side here, and yeah. All right, Rob and Vanessa.
Thanks again for having me.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Bye, y'all.
Yes,
Love you guys.
Love you.
Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.